Yo, get in here, man. Get in here, man. Get in here. I know it. I know it's short notice, man. I know. Oh man. Yeah, y'all get in here, man. I want to make a comment, man. Don't be a creepy lurker. Stefan, what up, man? I only wear this shirt when I'm sick, man. No, no. No. Uh-uh. Tech boy, what up? Kwame Kaiju, what up? Brother Zeke, what up? Jermaine Taylor, what up? Oh man. Trey, you what up, man? Shit. Yeah, y'all get in here, man. Discuss this. You know what? I can't even say the word I was about to call this motherfucker, man. I never could stand Don Lemon. I never could fucking stand him. I never could fucking stand him. Besides the obvious, you know him being a Batiman. Besides the obvious, he always triggered me. You know what I'm saying? Always pissed me off. Yeah, I never liked him. Never liked him. I think when he did that interview with Jill Scott, when she was talking about she don't like seeing black men with non-black women, and he just sat there. I think that's when I really first started to dislike him. Hey, I've been saying that, Stefan. I've been saying that since last year. This could spiral out of control if they don't nip this in the bud, but it looked like, I hate to say it, man. I hate to say it, but it looks like the Trump administration is turning into the fucking Van Buren 2.0. This the Rose, what up, man? Dead ass, man. Did y'all enjoy the national championship game yesterday? Mr. Old info, what up, man? Hey, I'm finna tell y'all something that's gonna blow y'all mind. This is totally unrelated to Don Lemon. Do y'all know that D. Darrell fucking son plays for the University of Texas? I just not found that out today. I just not Fontaine, what up, man? I just now found out that this nigga D. Darrell's son played for Texas. They had that boy. They'd check him straight in if he went to the fair joint. They'd check him right into PC. They'd check him directly in. Science guy, what up, man? Chill, what up? He would be a general population. They'll check him right in. Yeah, they'll check him right in. Stephen Rice, I was reading about Van Buren, and it seems his whole presidential campaign, he seemed indecisive. Yeah, he had a chance to stop the Civil War from ever happening, but he didn't. In action. Yep. Detroit 313, what up, man? All right, man. Shit. And I would be having to do this by the draftiest fucking window in the house right here next to me. Whew. All right, let's share the screen, man. Don Lemon just happens to make it to church on time. Now, there you see him harassing the man that was leading the congregation that day. I don't know who this gentleman is. Don Lemon stumbles in on the protest. Don Lemon insists that he was acting purely in a journalistic capacity when he, alongside a group of anti-ICE protesters, stormed into a church in Minneapolis over the weekend. Lemon informed his viewers ahead of the protest that he had conducted reconnaissance with the activists before they stormed into City's church, which they targeted because wow. So this is kind of crazy. So this same article is not behind the paywall when you look at it on your phone, but it's behind the paywall when you look at it on the computer. What the fuck? Wait, I'll continue reading on my phone. God damn. Well, they'll find any way to get money about your ass these days, won't they? All right. Because they wanted to protest ICE. The Justice Department will pursue charges related to the protest in the St. Paul Church. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon said Monday, specifically calling out ex-CNN journalist Don Lemon for his coverage of this event. In an interview with conservative influencer Benny Johnson, Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, said journalism is not a shield from a criminal conspiracy. Now, remember, he said he conducted reconnaissance with him, so he's saying that he knew beforehand. Don Lemon himself came out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside the facility. Dillon said on the Benny Show. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. If that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy, it isn't. Dillon did not confirm whether the Justice Department will pursue charges against Lemon in particular. NBC News has asked the Justice Department in the place of worship cities for comment. Reached for a response for Dillon's remarks. Lemon said in the email that it's notable that I've been the face of a protest since I was covering as a journalist, especially since I wasn't the only reporter there. Their framing is telling, he said. Even what's more telling was the barrage of violent threats, along with homophobic and racial slurs, directed at me online by MAGA supporters and amplified by parts of the white ring press. Lemon said he stood by his reporting. If this much time and energy is to be spent manufacturing outrage, it will be far better used in investigating the tragic death of Renee Nicole Good, the very issue that brought people to the streets in the first place, he wrote, referring to the woman who was shot and killed by an immigration and customs enforcement officer this month. Dillon said in her interview that the Justice Department is putting the facts together and adding that this is a very serious matter. Come next Sunday, nobody should think in the United States that they're going to be able to get away with this. Anyone in the protest community needs to know that the fullest force of federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening. And our people, and put people away for a long time. Trump weighed in on the protest in a Truth Social post after midnight on Tuesday, referring to it as a church raid by agitators. They are troublemakers who should have been thrown in jail or thrown out of the country, he said in the post, where they also called for investigations into Tim Walz, Representative Ilhan Omar, both Minnesota Democrats who have forcefully opposed him. In a video posted on his digital talk show YouTube channel, Lemon stands outside with protesters explaining that he is at an operation It's a Secret. Speaking to Lemon, one of the protesters, Nakia Levy Armstrong, refers to the protest as Operation Pull Up. She says that the protesters are demanding justice for Renee Good and letting them know that this will not stand. In a later clip of the protests outside the church, Lemon said, we're just reporting on them. Lemon reported that the activists had gone to the church because they alleged that one of its officials worked at an ICE field office. Wow. You know what, man? You know what? When this first happened, when I first got word of this, I was like, do they realize that this shit is illegal? Like, the first question I asked myself is, who thought that this was a good idea? Who thought this was a good idea? Who in their right fucking mind thought that this was a good idea, right? Even crazier is that one of the people leading the protests, the fat black broad, she said she's supposed to be a lawyer. So how the hell are you a lawyer and you don't realize when you in the midst of doing something that's obviously illegal? How? Once again, I'm gonna have to lay blame for this on the American educational system. I got to. Because anybody, the lawyer looked like she kind of an older millennial, maybe. Any Generation X motherfucker understand, yo, nah, we ain't, It's illegal. It's illegal. As a matter of fact, as far as Generation X, when we were younger, one of the pieces of legislation that makes this shit illegal was passed. Oh, your ass a fool. Distant Rose writes, protesters should have worn their Christian Dior and Christian Louboutins to show that they were there for the service. Hey, you know what, bro? Let me throw this comment back up here. I think that Drewski skit was a psyop. I think that the government told Drewski to do that because they finna start locking these pastors up with RICO indictments. I think that in 2026, you finna see the pastors of a lot of these black churches get locked up for RICO indictments. And that's why they told Drewski, hey, do this skit, man. I'm dead ass. Because that skit that left a lasting impression. A lot of these Christians got real motherfucking quiet after that skit. So when they start locking these niggas up, ain't gonna be no bunch of, oh, it's racist. No. Nope. Yeah, but I think in 2026, a lot of these pastor pork chops go get their ass locked up. Lion, what up? I think a lot of them go get locked up for RICO indictments. Straight up. I mean, if they gave Diddy a one-man RICO, then shit, how was these pastors any different from him? Because we know they doing freaky shit in their church. And they taking people money. Shit. But once again, who in the hell thought that was a good idea to run inside a church? But like I said, the lawyer appeared to be let me find out how old this bitch is, because I might be wrong. If she is Generation X, she a dumb bitch. Wait, what the hell is her name?
He wasn't present.
The hell is her name, man? I'm just judging off her. Damn. It's videos of her, but with her, but none with her name on here. I think she married to a Jew. Okay, here you get Nikema Levy Armstrong. Nikia Levy Armstrong. What the fuck? She Generation X. She was born. Damn, she was born a few days before me. Oh, this bitch straight up dumb. Because if you Generation X, watch this. If you Generation X, then you gonna remember this. And let me share the screen. That's why I just figured she had to be a millennial or some shit, doing some shit like that, and she don't remember this. Like I said, one of the pieces of legislation that makes this shit illegal was passed when we was in high school. There you go. Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. Right? Remember during the Clinton administration when they passed this? Remember what was going on back then? Freedom of Access to Clinics Entrances Act, the FACE Act, is a United States law that was signed by President Bill Clinton in May 1994, which prohibits the following three things: the use of physical force, threat of physical force, or physical obstruction to intentionally injure, intimidate, and interfere with, or attempt to injure or intimidate or interfere with any person who is obtaining an abortion. 2, to use the physical force or threat of physical force or physical obstruction to intentionally injure, intimidate, interfere with, and attempt to injure any person who is trying to exercise their First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of worship, the intentional damage of destruction of a reproductive healthcare facility or a place of worship. Do y'all remember what was happening when this law was passed? Do any of y'all remember what was happening when this law was passed? When this law was passed, it was like cultural warfare was like at a fever pitch when this law was passed. So the pro-life crowd, some of them was like, you know, blocking women from getting abortions and shit. Not really. I used to see the protests. You would have a lot of them standing outside there with signs and shit, but they were never like trying to push anybody out the way. But you know how females are, they exaggerate everything, right? They weren't physically blocking them, but you did have some pro-life people that went that extra step and was blowing abortion clinics up. I remember that shit. I remember that. They was blowing them motherfuckers up. At least they was waiting until wasn't nobody there, but they was blowing them motherfuckers off the map. And then likewise, you know, you had people on the left who would go to the churches, where a lot of these pro-life people, they would go to the church where they knew they was from. And so then they would spray graffiti on the church. They would like cause like small scale riots outside of their church. And so to put a stop to this shit, Clinton voted this law in. I remember when they passed this shit. So that's crazy that this bitch was born just a few days before me and wasn't aware of this law right here. That's crazy. Remember the last part. The use of physical force, threat of physical force, or physical obstruction to intentionally injure, intimidate, interfere with, or attempt to injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person who is exercising or trying to exercise their First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of worship. You see that? You heard that? They can't get out of that part of this law. They can't get out of that part. That lines up right with what the fuck they did. They can't get around that part of the law, man. They can't. And for good measure, let's throw in an oldie but goodie. Yeah, let's throw in the oldie but goodie. Oh, that ain't true distant roles. Them same people be having clothing drives for kids and toys for Christmas drives for kids. That's not really true. Not across the whole country anyway. It's a big country, but that ain't really true. That I've seen them. Them same people have food drives, canned good drives for kids, um, clothing drives, and like I said, around Christmas, toy drives for kids. Them same people. Them same people. Straight up. Matter of fact, it was them same people. It was them same people who got all of the fire departments across the country to have these little warming drawers where you can drop off your fucking baby. Because some women was having their babies and throwing the babies in dumpsters and shit. Ain't it crazy that they will chase a man to motherfucking the moons of Jupiter for child support, but a woman can just leave a whole human being in a goddamn drawer with no accountability? Ain't that crazy? That a woman that now you see why so many foreign women try to get here. Now you see why so many foreign women try to get here. A country that's so free for women that you can eject a whole goddamn human being out of your pussy and just leave it, abandon it somewhere with no consequences. Science got right. Some of them don't want certain legislation that will make people's life easier. So I see what Disson Rose trying to say, kind of. I don't know about the legislative part. All I'm saying is the charitable acts that I see them same people doing. They do their part to, I guess feed whatever children that didn't succumb to abortion. Or even not even kids that didn't succumb, like older kids like 10 and 12. They same people. But here's an oldie but goodie right here. The Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, an act to enforce the provisions of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States and for other purposes. In December 1865, at nearly the same time the 13th Amendment abolished slavery nationwide, a group of former Confederates formed a self-proclaimed self-defense organization, the Ku Klux Klan. Former Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest served as his first Grand Dragon, and from 1866 onward, Klansmen engaged in the campaign of terrorist violence against African Americans, Unionists, loyal state government agents, and federal officers in the South. Introduced by Representative Samuel Shelbarger of Ohio, the KKK Act, officially known as the Act to Enforce Provisions of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States and for other purposes, was a third set of increasingly detailed efforts to curb the violence and protect African Americans and Reconstruction authorities and its allies in the South. The modern version of the KKK Act, 14 U.S.C. 1893, is one of the primary means of vindicating federal constitutional rights against state and local actors even today. I'm gonna tell you something else, Distant Rose. A lot of them people that's pro-life protesters, they do it too for demographic reasons. Though they understand, they've been understanding longer than black people in America have, that they trying to replace your ass with immigrants. So they would rather see a black person being born than the immigrant taking their place. Matter of fact, even with the whitest of lily white pro-lifers, you will see them holding up a sign with a black baby on there. They will have a sign with a black baby on there because they know that the percentage of abortions among black women is crazy. Yep. And they was trying to tell black people. You know what the black people said? The black people said they was racist. They said they was crazy conspiracy theorists. That's what they said. Yeah, they always bring up Margaret Sanger. But yeah, you will see you will see a blonde-haired, blue-eyed pro-lifer with a sign of a black baby, with a sign with a black baby on there. Because they know, them pro-lifers know that all of them different immigrants is gonna fuck this country up. That's why they'd rather see more black people be born. And they take a great physical risk by protesting damn near exclusively in black neighborhoods. Yep. But the left, I think this time the left really have gotten out over their skis. Because with the American narrative that they give you in school, you know, places of worship, the First Amendment, religion is supposed to be sacrosanct. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and they purchase billboards again with black babies on there. Yep. It's crazy that these white pro-lifers seem to be more concerned about black babies than black women do. I mean, that's one way to look at it, distant roads, but I mean, the question becomes, do you want to live around people who wash their ass? Kwame Kaji, thanks for the cash out, man. Do you want to live around people who wash their ass? That's the question. I don't think they want to live around people who don't wash their ass. I don't either. Yep. Doug Dissident writes, pro-lifers are a problem for people from the Israel lobby and the so-called civil rights group who funded lobby dollars for abortion. Yeah. Yeah. And another thing is that those pro-lifers are appalled by the fact that it's a lot of consumer products that's being made from the corpses of those children too. Yeah, I said that, consumer products. Yeah. But like I was saying, in the American narrative that we got from grammar school onward, you know, the right to worship as you please, the First Amendment is supposed to be something that's sacrosanct in this country, right? And so you got to question the sanity of these people on the left of thinking that this would be a good idea, of thinking that this would be would gain them some type of political traction. Now I know that we are in an era where church attendance and all of that is reduced from what it used to be in past years. I know that we are in an era where increasingly people are identifying as being atheist or agnostic. I get it. But even if you don't believe in anything religiously, people with decency will still be offended by this. And so that's why I'm wondering, like, who in the fuck thought this was a good idea? Saul, what up, man? A lot of cosmetic products, Stephen. Who thought this was going to be a good idea? I just, and even you know what? It's offensive on so many levels. Okay, let's say you're not religious. let's say you're not religious, right? You would still be, some people would be offended by the illegality of it, right? And the harm that this would do to our political discourse. It's people that might be offended on that level. Then there's people that actually are religious and would be offended by that. Then there's people who, even though they're not religious, this would offend their sense of decency, right? And then outside of all of that, it's people that are offended by the lack of etiquette of this shit. By the extreme lack of etiquette. Everybody that did that was at their protest, they had to have been raised by fucking wolves. They had to have been. Because you can't tell me that anybody who was raised with at least one parent who had a halfway just sense of decency and manners and decorum, that wouldn't think in the back of their mind, what would my parents think if I was doing this? Everybody there had to have been raised by wolves. They had to. They had to. You can't convince me any different. I know motherfucking well. Hey, if there was a child of mine, I would disown. I'd be like, hey, I don't call me no more. Don't call me no more. That's some shameful ass shit when you think about it. Straight up. That's some shameful ass shit. And a lot of y'all parents and grandparents in here will smack the shit out of y'all if they found out that y'all was participating in something like that. No matter what side of the aisle they on. Be honest with yourself. So, because this is so repugnant and so offensive and brazen on so many different levels, polite society, politics, legality, religious freedom, again, I have to ask, who in the fuck thought that this was a good idea? Who thought this was a good idea? It just shows you the slide into chaos that this country is undergoing. And I'm glad that Trump announced a couple of days ago that they're gonna start reopening these mental institutions, because this is proof of that. They need to start opening the crazy houses back up. This is definitely proof of that. They need to open these crazy houses back up. Straight up. Yeah, I understand that they pay agitators, but no, But the crazy part is that they didn't understand that this was a Fed case. I bet you nobody in that crowd understood that, hey, I'm about to catch a Fed case. Yeah, you about to catch a Fed case. It's certain things that you do that, like, I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say that somebody vandalized a nativity scene, right? Let's say somebody vandalized a nativity scene outside of a church during the holidays, and then they might have like painted a swastika on Joseph or on one of the wise men. That's a Fed case. You realize that's a fucking Fed case. They go look at every camera. They go ping set till they find out who the fuck was there, who did that. That's a Fed case. It's just certain things you do, like with places of worship, shit like that. It's an automatic Fed case. How did they? And again, it's crazy that that leading the charge was a lawyer. How did that bitch not know that? Hey, we're all about to catch a Fed case. And then it's the type of Fed case that they're gonna catch. Do y'all realize how much time they can get for this? Do anybody watching, do y'all realize how much time they can get for this shit? That's assuming they even get charged. But they claim they're gonna do it. They don't make the announcement, so I don't see how they can walk it back. This is 25 to life. Do y'all realize that? Any conspiracy to deprive somebody of their civil rights is a 25 to life case. 25 to life. Who in the fuck thought this was a good idea? But as for Don Lemon, him trying to hide behind the fig leaf of journalism is not going to work. If they really do follow through and charge these motherfuckers, him trying to hide behind this, that's not going to work, because he knew what they were about to do. That's just like if somebody was going to rob a bank. If somebody was going to rob a bank and you said, "Oh, well, I'm just here as a journalist," and you standing there with your camera and shit, and then they kill a motherfucker, and they got the other two armored truck guard, they got them tied up or whatever, and then you start interviewing them and shit. Nigga, you in conspiracy. You knew it was gonna happen. You didn't notify nobody. You didn't notify anybody. You knew that a crime was gonna happen, and you just stood by. That's how they gonna look at it. He not gonna be able to hide behind that journalism shit. Nah. Politically, I think that this is probably the craziest political stunt, and I don't see some crazy ones, but I think that this one might be one for the ages right here. I don't think I ever seen no political stunt this egregious. I can't even think of nothing besides the oh my god, Greta Thunberg. I hate that little bitch. I can't think of nothing that's this, having little kids do walkouts for George Floyd. Like, sit your ass. You already dumb. Stay in school. Yeah, this shit was wild, man. Obvious Fed case. One of the most obvious Fed cases that you could catch. Just so the rest of y'all know, any attempts to impede somebody worshiping, vandalizing church property, all of that shit is automatically a Fed case. Automatically a Fed case. Automatically a Fed case. It's, but I don't know, man. The left right now, this is proof that they losing their fucking minds. That's why I say that I'm so paranoid about if they doing shit that's on this level of desperation and they not getting any traction out of it, what are they going to do next? What are they going to try next? Between this crazy shit and the artificial Black Panthers, none of it is working. What are they going to resort to next? And they claim, this group of people claim that they're not going to stop, that they're going to keep doing this shit. But I think that this time, if they do it again, that this time I think the windbreakers go show up, the FBI. I think that this time when they do it, the FBI go show up and just lock their ass up. That's what I think. I think that this time you go see a whole lot of blue windbreakers with yellow writing on them, and they go take their ass directly to the motherfucking Fed joint. Yeah, this shit was wild, man. All right, man. I'm about to go lay down, man. This has been a Black Pill PSA. Peace.